I'm 18 years old, and I've been asking myself, what does it mean to be a real man? Does being a man mean benching 500 pounds like Arnold here? Does it mean driving a muscle car? Or does it mean having a pretty girl on your arm? Does it mean having a lot of chest hair? I hope it doesn't. But honestly, none of these things are what really defines a man. So to answer my question, I started with the basics. Now, I want to prepare all of you. I don't want to offend anyone. This is something extremely controversial. Men are not the same as women. And it doesn't matter what time period you're looking at or in what society, there are inherent differences between your average man and your average woman. Men tend to be more competitive, particularly in things like sports. In the 2012 and 2013 season, over 1 million boys alone played high school football. That's more than boys and girls combined in any other sport. Men also tend to want to be gatherers for their families and to be able to provide for their loved ones. And that's still the common American belief held today. And men also tend to be more hands-on, whether it be changing the oil in the car, mowing the lawn, building an extension to the house, etc. I like to say that men get a fix from fixing things. And that's not to say that there aren't women who demonstrate these same traits. These are just differences between your average man and your average woman. So, to see how these traits apply, I took a look at traditional male roles. We see that a mechanic works hands-on all day with cars and motorcycles and other machines, and it doesn't get a whole lot manlier than that when it comes to fixing things. A CEO is an obvious breadwinner for the family, and a ladies' man, like Rhett Butler here, had to win out against other men to get the girl. And when we put all these things together, we can be someone as manly as Chris Hemsworth, who is in fact so manly, some call him literally a god. He also just so happens to be the guy who plays Thor. But what really unites all these men, regardless of their professions, is an idea that's best articulated through this quote. All men are great in their dreams. And we can tell what this quote means by saying what it doesn't mean. It's not like all men go to bed and dream about being super popular or even about being really rich. Men want to be great at the things that define a man the most. We see greatness in gatherers like Bill Gates, whose net worth is just hanging out around $82 billion. We see greatness in competitors like Peyton Manning and Usain Bolt, who are undoubtedly some of the best at what they do. And we see greatness in innovators and craftsmen like Steve Jobs was. So we can also tell that these traits can overlap and support one another. And we can see how this best manifests itself by looking at 3 major aspects of life: work, family, and friends. It's pretty obvious how these traits of being a man apply to the work world. There's competition in the workforce, and based on the level of success a man achieves there, the better gatherer he is for his family. And it doesn't matter what kind of a job you have, whether you see yourself having an office job or doing something more like what I want to do, like managing a heavy metal headbanging band like Metallica. To answer the question of what it means to be a family man, I took a look at America's favorite dad during the holidays, Old Man Parker from A Christmas Story. This guy sums up pretty nicely what it means to be a man in the family. He jumps at the chance to fix the heater. He entered a competition and won a marvelous leg lamp. And he was able to provide his kid with the Christmas gift of the year, that Red Ryder BB gun. This really sums up what it means to be a family man. And as far as the guy's friends, they seem to incorporate all the traits as well. I can't remember the last time I hung out with my friends and we weren't competing over something, whether it be who can do the most push-ups or who is the smartest or who has the most clever thing to say. And I also can't remember the last time my friends and I weren't doing something, whether it be trekking through the wilderness, big game hunting like Ernest Hemingway, or menacingly riding our steel horses around town, or maybe just throwing a ball back and forth, or rolling the dice on game night. My friends and I are always doing something, and I attribute that to the hands-on mentality of men. It's just how guys relate to one another. So, these traits of men having thought about these traits in men, what does it really mean to be a man? Does it mean benching 500 pounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger? Well, in a way it does, but not the muscle itself. It's more the fact that he had to earn it, and by doing so, he got a competitive edge physically over other men. Does it mean driving a muscle car? Sure, but it's more about doing than having. Sure, it's nice to have a shiny car in the garage, but it's more manly to drive it around and be able to fix it up. And everyone has their own version of the proverbial muscle car. And does being a man having a pretty girl on your arm and buying her expensive things? In a way, but the girl doesn't actually have to be that beautiful, and you don't actually have to be spending that much money. The woman might disagree. But it's more about, by doing the best we can to provide for our family and loved ones, we're doing about the manliest thing possible. Nowadays, there are a lot of different ways to define what a man is. We're not held to stereotypical expectations, and we're not really expected to fulfill traditional male roles so much. But we don't have to deny that there are gender differences. The traits of being a man are timeless. Thank you.